This episode of Sideline Warning is brought to you by Roosport, makers of the original magnetic running pouch. Whether you're biking, running, hiking, or even traveling, the Roosport clips to your waistband with magnets for an easy, convenient way to carry what you need without the bulk of belts or bags. Visit theroosport.com and use the code SIDELINE30, all lowercase, for 30% off their entire product line. Again, that's theroosport.com, promo code SIDELINE30. And now on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sideline Warning, the show where sports takes are sure to go way too far into the field. Here to recap this week's biggest and best sports stories are your hosts, Dave Adams, Ben Foster, and Adam Russell.
Everybody, welcome into Sideline Warning, episode 45. And as always, you've got the one, the only, the golden voice of the Southeast, Dave Adams, coming to you live and in living color from Harvest, Alabama. And as always, I have brought my singular friend along. Adam had some stuff going on this week, so we couldn't bring Adam along. But I do have Ben Foster. Ben, what's going on, man?
Hey, Dave. I am trying to recover from a sleep deficit after ensuring that I could go to Atlanta to watch the Braves.
I'm proud of you for going, but didn't I ask you if things got hairy to leave the stadium because you weren't there Sunday night?
I should have left the stadium. It is entirely my fault. And Dave, just go ahead and tell everybody, I am a failure.
No, I can't do that. You're not good enough.
I'm not good enough to be a failure?
You're not good enough to be a failure, Ben.
That's a low spot.
But I do want to say, you called the Braves to win at Dodger Stadium in Game 2. What was the score you said?
I said they'd win 12-3.
And did that happen?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
The Dodgers scored 3 though, so I was half right.
Yeah, how much did the Braves score at Dodger Stadium?
0. But let's not get bogged down in the details.
Yeah, we're not going to get bogged down with baseball details. So we do need to talk about football. There's a couple of things that we need to talk about with this football game. Alabama played Arkansas 65-31 in Fayetteville.
It is safe to say Alabama scored more points on the road than the Braves did in the playoffs.
I think it's safe to say that Alabama scored more points in football on the road than Avery Johnson's team scored most of the season on the road.
Oh, come on.
Am I wrong?
Alabama averaged like 75 points a game. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to give
Anthony
you that.
Grant, that's a different story. That's a different story.
That's a different story. Okay. 65-31. I can say this easily. This is the worst 65-31 game I think I've ever seen.
How many 65-31 football games have you seen?
Okay, this is the worst blowout I've ever seen. The worst played blowout I've ever seen. Fair?
It did not look like Alabama's best effort.
No, and now Tua, this is probably one of Tua's best games. I mean, he played, what, Ben? 14 minutes at most?
That's about right.
10 of 13, 334 yards, 4 touchdowns.
He did play in the second half, but there wasn't a reason for it. There was no need for him to come out there in the second half.
Right. One thing I did like, I loved the 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time.
I've been waiting for it my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Tua as a wide receiver, Jalen. I mean, they handed the ball off to Jalen. Jalen was a running back for one play, and he went for multitude of yards.
Now that was beautiful. What I would like to see though is both of them in the backfield together. I'd like to see both of them side by side in the shotgun, so you don't know who's getting the snap to start the playoff.
I can dig that. I can dig that.
One's right-handed, one's left-handed. The play can literally roll in either direction.
Or why don't we do a wildcat? Jalen in the wildcat.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what it is half the time anyway.
Oh, okay.
What? It's a designed run.
You are correct. The one thing that let's harp on is Alabama's defense. I can't believe that we're saying this as an Alabama fan base. Alabama's defense is having issues where Alabama's offense is dominating. What's the problem with this Alabama defense? Why is Alabama allowing 405 total yards to a 1-5 Arkansas team?
Well, a big part of it is Alabama's defense is inexperienced. They are great athletes, and they have played pretty good so far in the season. The issue is they're not super experienced, and you only have a certain amount of time you can coach these guys. And so when you have limited resources, you do your best to get these guys up to speed. But Arkansas designed the perfect set of plays to exploit that lack of experience. And that's actually a wonderful thing if you're an Alabama fan. Like, I'm frustrated. I'm with you. I'm annoyed that Arkansas scored 31 because it's been like 10 years since they've scored, over 30 points on Alabama. But it's also a good thing because now you've got all of that film to teach the defense what they did wrong. And that's what Alabama does better than anybody else is they learn from their mistakes. So it was great to go ahead and have this and get it out of their system, having this rough experience with Arkansas, because now you can coach these guys up and say, this is the play, this is what you did wrong, don't let this happen again.
Okay. But, I mean, it seems like Alabama defensive players now are dropping like flies, too, because we just found out Monday afternoon that Trayvon Diggs is pretty much out for the rest of the season. He broke his foot during this Arkansas game. So a team that I say is pretty defeated in the DBs, now the best DB you have is a true freshman.
The best DB you've got?
Oh, the best defensive cornerback. I guess The best DB we're going to say is Deontay Thompson. But the best cornerback we've got is probably Patrick Surtain Jr.
Maybe. These guys are going to have to grow up fast.
Yeah, and they're going to have to grow up incredibly fast. And this week we got Drew Lock.
Well, it is fortunate that you've got somebody like Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback. This would have spelled a loss or two for some of the other Bama teams that struggled on offense.
Yes, but I don't know. I'm afraid now. Looking at the schedule, there's nothing in the immediate future. In fact, I don't see anything on the foreseeable schedule that Alabama might struggle with. But when you go to the SEC Championship, Georgia, Jake Fromm can sling it. When you go to what could be a first matchup and a first playoff matchup at Oklahoma or Ohio State, there's a rushing attack that Alabama is not prepared to stop. I'm worried, and I'm going to be honest. This defense hasn't truly been tested yet. Are these quote-unquote video game type numbers, and we're going to get into video games here in a minute, but are these video game type numbers a detriment to the team, or are they okay?
I don't think they're a detriment just because it just hasn't mattered yet. And it's hard for me. I agree with you. You throw Georgia out there. It's hard for me to see a point when it's going to matter before the SEC championship game. LSU and Auburn faltered over the weekend. You see those problems that those teams have got.
Nick Marshall might hurt. Not Nick Marshall.
Fitzgerald.
Crap. Nick Fitzgerald. State. Yeah, he might hurt Alabama. He's that running quarterback.
He's a running quarterback, but a lot of the runs that you design around Fitzgerald are not the kind that really give Alabama trouble. I get it. Mississippi State gave Alabama some trouble last year, but Fitzgerald's not going to burn you deep all night long. That's not his arm. This year you've got a healthier linebacking core than you do the secondary. So I'm not as concerned about Fitzgerald. I just there's not that many games to be scared about. I get it. There's definitely a concern with Mizzou this weekend that the deep ball could hurt, but Mizzou is not going to be able to get into a shootout with Alabama and top Tagovailoa. The real concern is keeping your quarterback healthy.
Yeah, I just don't want to see an Oklahoma-Georgia matchup where it comes down to 58-59, and you have to kick a field goal to win the game. And I mean, Bulovas missed an extra point this week, so we don't have a Blankenship, Rich Blankenship on our team.
Rodrigo Blankenship, yeah.
Sorry.
And that's the thing. I don't know that it's going to come down to kicks. I get it. Georgia is a great team. They're a thoroughly built team with good kicking, good defense, great athletes. But I don't know that Georgia's offense is good enough to hang with Alabama if you have the offense completely healthy. The way Alabama's spreading the ball around with receivers, the way Alabama can turn to a running game when they need to, but haven't.
But I don't think they can. I truly don't think they can, because when I see Alabama running the ball this year, they're not running like a normal Alabama team. And you can't tell me this offensive line isn't as good as it has been in the past. There's finally senior leadership on this offensive line, and we're not seeing them block the same way they have been in the last couple of years.
Do you think it has to do with the practice reps? That's what I'm starting to think. The run blocking has gone down this year and is not as good because they are spending a greater significant percentage of time focusing on the passing game.
I hadn't thought about that, but I can get behind that.
You've got finite resources in practice. I know it seems like all these guys do is football, but you have a limited number of hours you can actually practice. And so my thought is the offensive line previously might have done 75% of their plays on blocking for the run and blocking for a passing quarterback like Jalen Hurts where the run was still a big factor. So maybe 70 or 80% of the blocking schemes for the offensive line were all about the run last year. But now all the plays are about Tua. So maybe what the first string offensive line is spending their time on is all about pass protection and making sure Tagovailoa doesn't get rocked early. And if that's what that's about, you're working on different things, and the footwork can be a little different. The whole way the line works can be different. So, I'm not an offensive line expert, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe you've got just the time and the focus is going so some of these things aren't getting perfected on the running game.
I could get behind that theory.
Because, the personnel on the line's not that different.
No, it's not. In fact, I'd say this is a better personnel line than last year. So I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. But, something has to change. But a stat I just came across while we're sitting here talking, Alabama Nation, a Facebook group, pointed this out. This might make you feel a little bit better than I have in the past. First half points for Alabama in 2018. So just the first 30 minutes of the ball game. 28, 40, 49, 31, 49, and 41. Full game points for Auburn. 21, 63, 21, 34, 24, and 9. Full game points for Tennessee. 14, 59, 24, 21, and 12. It could be worse, guys.
It could be worse.
It could be a lot worse. One thing that I do want to do before we get into the interview, Ben, I kind of warned you about this week. We are at game 6. So we're now Alabama 6-0. We're halfway through the season. Let's give 4 grades. We'll go A through F for offense, defense, special teams, and coaching for Alabama. Let's start with the offense. We could do. You want to do plus minus as well? We'll do plus minus A through F.
Absolutely.
What do you give the offense?
I am going to give the offense a solid A. Just nice and steady, an A. There's a lot of people that are like, what? How is that not an A plus? But I'm going to give it an A because there's some things that can get improved. The run game that we just spent several minutes on being the most glaring of those, and improvements on the offensive line. But the offense is getting an A because look at these point totals.
Yep, I agree with your assessment of and what you said. I don't agree with the letter score. I was going to go A minus to B plus because I think that the run game needs to be a little bit better. probably put in a little bit more weighted there. So I was going to go B plus.
Did you ever have a class project, either high school or college at some point, where you were working in like a team of 4 or 5 people, and you had that one person that clearly really cared, and the other 2 or 3 people that definitely didn't care? Maybe at different times I was the one guy that cared, and at different times I was the guy that definitely didn't care. I had different projects in different classes, but the team still got that really good grade because the one person that cared pulled everybody across the finish line. That's where my letter grade's at. If Jalen's running this offense, this is probably a B plus, A minus offense for me. I'm getting an A because I'm giving them an A because Tua is pulling them to an A single-handedly. Him and Jerry Jeudy and a couple of the other receivers, they're the guys that care so much. They're getting an A for everybody, even though some of the other guys might even be putting out like a C plus, B minus effort.
Okay. Well, I see your logic there. I'm still going B plus just because I see that not everybody is equally participating like they should. So there is our offense. Let's go to defense.
I'm going to give the defense a B minus.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. They've passed. Actually, I'm going to change. I'm going to go C plus. They've passed. They've done more than average, but they are at most 90% of the time average. The other 10% they show flashes of brilliance. So.
Well, and I guess to an extent I'm kind of grading on the curve here. There's a lot of teams that would still be excited with how this defense has worked,
right?
But they're underperforming just by not being on the same level as the offense, and so the offense has been so good that it's really obvious that the defense is not good. In another time, I might give this defense a better grade, just because they've gotten the job done. They've never put a game in jeopardy. But part of that's because there's some other pupils in the class that are looking pretty outstanding.
Yeah, and it does look, I guess the way I'm looking at it this year is the defense it's been a bend but don't break defense. And I'm not used to seeing that as an Alabama fan the last 10 years. Alabama normally is 1 or 2 in the entire country in defense. I hadn't looked, but I don't think we're in the top 10 of defensive stats this year. I could probably pull it up.
Yeah, I think that's pretty doubtful.
Yeah. So it's not where we need to be. Total defense, we're 25th.
Yeah, there you go.
So scoring defense, we're 11th. So that's not bad.
Yeah, I think if you went back to the beginning of this season, or if you went back to after the national championship game and read these stats out for the defense without saying who it was, and
you would not think it was Alabama.
You asked somebody to guess, they would not tell you Alabama. They would probably pick somebody like I don't know, maybe an Ole Miss in a good year, or something like that.
Yeah.
This defense has gotten the job done, but they just haven't been that impressive, and that's a B minus. That's a C plus.
Yep. All right. So there's our defense. Now let's go to the dunce of the class, special teams. Keep in mind, special teams is not just kicking and punting. You do have to throw Jalen Waddle into special teams.
There we go. Dan,
so
go ahead. What's your grade?
I'm going to go a D plus.
D plus.
D plus. It's passing because of Jalen Waddle. But if it was just the kicking game, this would get an F minus.
F minus.
Yes. And I know you don't do that in Fs, but it would be well below 50.
Well below 50. They're only getting half the job done. Well, I see it that way, and there's definitely some people that I would grade an F. But here's my grade. I'm gonna give special teams an incomplete. Did you ever have one of those? You start the class. You start
Do
the
I
class.
have to answer that?
No. You're on the record. So you start the class. Maybe you don't get everything done, but the professor doesn't want to fail you. That's where special teams is at. It's incomplete because the kickers have failed to actually do their project, but there's the return game looks splendid, and the kickers have failed to do their job. And punting. Let's talk about punting for a second.
Oh, let's not. Although
I think I sent you. I think I sent you exactly. I sent you this tweet earlier today. Reddit College Football had it. They were quoting an Alabama fan in the comments section, and essentially he pointed out Alabama's punter is still redshirt eligible after 6 games because we haven't had to use him. So how can I grade special teams when I've barely seen the punter?
Well, we know he's not DeLong.
That's back to Tua, back to the offense. You've got this one pupil that's throwing off the bell curve for everybody else. And that's what's going on. So special teams, right now, if I had to give you a grade, you're probably getting like a C- or a D+. But I'm giving you an incomplete because I don't have enough to grade on.
Okay. Well, I'm going D+ or D. I went D+. And you're going incomplete. Now let's get to coaching.
I really think that if DeLong was doing great punts, if he was punting 2 or 3 times a game and doing J.K. Scott-like punts, and the way Waddle's making returns, the way the other guys are making returns, I really think the kickers could miss field goals, and this could still get into like a C+ might be salvageable for special teams.
Yeah,
but it's not there yet. It's not there yet. It's incomplete.
All right, so let's go coaching. This is not just Saban. This is offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, because you and I and Adam had a text string this week, and I think the Sideline Warning Twitter had a tweet that we might want to start a petition. So keep that in mind when you're giving coaching a grade.
Well, now I've gone first on a couple of them. You give the coaching grade.
Okay, I'll go a high B. Just the letter, normal B. No plus, no minus in this. Saban's done great. He's done the normal Saban thing. I think we've seen great strides out of Loxley as offensive coordinator. I think where you give me a look. What's the look?
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. I think where this is not an A, it's a B, is Tosh Lupoi. I think that the Sideline Warning Twitter, and my thought was I want to start a firetoshlupoi.com, because I don't think that he is the right guy for defensive coordinator. His schemes are not right. I didn't think Alabama would lose a lot when we lost 2 straight defensive coordinators, but it looks like Pruitt and Smart were the glue that kept that defensive team together, and Tosh Lupoi is not doing his job. So I'm going to go B.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B+ on the coaching. I still think Saban has done a remarkable job. I think Saban needs extra credit for keeping Jalen Hurts around.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's critical, and I think that even shows more now in a post-Clemson era where we've seen turmoil at Clemson, where we have actually seen changing quarterbacks become the move of the day at several schools. Notre Dame changing quarterbacks, all of these different things. For Saban to manage that drama, for Saban to keep the focus off of the players as well as he's done, that is an outstanding coaching job. And the offense, I get it. There's some things we'd like for that to do better, but again, you've caught lightning in a bottle. So I don't have anything bad to grade Mike Loxley on. Getting so many wide receivers involved, essentially turning Alabama into an entirely new offense, implementing an entirely new offense with where your 4 key players really didn't get much significant playing time last year, where your 4 key players did not get starts last year. That's an impressive coaching job, even if there are still some things left to be desired. But yeah, I'm with you on Tosh Lupoi. I've got concerns, and I get it. He wasn't given the same resources Mike Loxley was. We want to talk about the kids on the class project. Some kids have the mom that's going to take them to Walmart and buy all of the supplies they need for the project and then help them cut the things out and make sure all the lines are straight. And then there's other kids that got to go do the project themselves. and don't have their mom helping them. And I kind of feel like Loxley's the kid that had their parents really involved on the project and helped him out on everything. And Lupoy's the guy that's like, well, I got to go fend for myself. And so he didn't get all the breaks Loxley got, but guess what? He's still getting graded in the same class. And that's pulling down this coaching grade.
Okay. I don't really think I like that analogy, because I think that the talent is there on defense. They're all still 5 stars, 5 and 4 stars.
Yeah, they're just inexperienced.
They're inexperienced,
and now they're unhealthy.
Well, Alabama's defense was inexperienced last year.
You lose a couple of linebackers at the beginning of the season, and then you lose a key starting cornerback. It's not the same resources as having Tua Tagovailoa. It's not the same resources as having Jerry Jeudy.
Very true. Okay, so let's go.
Ruggs and Smith. You do not have that. You may have some 5 stars on defense, but you don't have Jerry Jeudy on defense. You don't have that kind of 5-star.
That's true. Okay, so let's overall grade. I'll go B, because there are places to work. You're still one of the upper third of the class. Offense, you're best of the best. Defense, you're top 25. Great. So I'll go B plus.
I'm gonna go A-, because I just don't know who's gonna beat this team in a different environment where everybody has caught up to Alabama's tactics and are doing things the way Alabama's doing them. That might be a different situation in 3, 4, 5 years. But right now, Alabama is doing things at a level nobody else is doing them. It's mostly due to the offense, and it's mostly due to Tua and 3 or 4 receivers.
Yep. And I'll tell you, so basically you're saying that Alabama's offense is a video game type mode?
It's exactly like video game mode.
Okay.
It's that absurd.
Yeah, and it's cool because we actually sat down with a friend of the podcast and friend of mine, Bryan Key, who is the host of the Field of View podcast. And he talked to us about the EA Sports video game and why that went away and if it's possible for that to come back. So we're going to play that interview for you right here. Then we're going to come back, have our let you hear about Roo Sport, and then we're going to get into the Atlanta Braves and what went wrong for them and what could go right in the next couple of years. But anyway, have fun listening to this interview with Bryan from Field of View podcast, and we'll see you on the other side. We are now joined by podcast host and friend of the show, Bryan Key. Bryan, before we get into anything, go ahead and plug your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast. Oh, hello, Sideline Warning fans. My name is Bryan. I'm a recovering. No, my podcast is a video game commentary podcast called Field of View podcast. I haven't recorded it in a while. I'm trying to figure out how I want to redo everything, but yeah, I mean, it's about the video game world, what's going on, all the new stuff that's coming out. Yeah, I mean, I've been having fun with it. It's been real learning about myself and how I speak. So it's been great.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not the biggest gamer. I guess you can call me a sports gamer because all I really play are sports games. And one thing that you and I shared when we were both down in Alabama is we both played the NCAA game that EA put out. And, you know, it was a huge seller. You and I went to a couple of the midnight releases down there in Tuscaloosa, and it wrapped around the block to just get into the building to get the game out. But all of a sudden, EA got, I guess, involved in a lawsuit, and they had to stop the game. Well, before we get into what we want to happen next, go ahead and tell us why EA had to stop making this game.
Well, I mean, that was actually a lot of research. I mean, I thought maybe I would just, like you go to an ESPN article and they'd be like, hey, this is everything that happened. But I had to go to like multiple sources. I guess that's pretty much what happens with lawsuits, Basically what happened was the old adage of should college players get paid for being the face of the team, being on billboards, and in this case would be video games. It's not really about, what am I trying to say? Basically, the way it boils down to is that, do you guys know who Ed O'Bannon is?
He played basketball, didn't he, Ben?
Yeah, I played at UCLA, right?
Yeah, he played at UCLA in 1995. The funny part about it is that in 2009, he was, I don't know, somewhere, and he saw his likeness on one of the NCAA basketball games that EA had put out. A lot of people don't remember EA also did a college basketball game. I think, Dave, you played it too. I think you probably took, what was it, Chicago State or somebody?
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
You're right.
Yeah. But Ed O'Bannon saw his likeness, and the way he put it as, it looked just like me. It had the same height, the same weight, my number, and all my stats. So what he decided to do was file a lawsuit against the NCAA, against EA, Electronic Arts, and the college licensing company. So the lawsuit stated that, it's the whole likeness that, other people were getting paid for having the likeness of all the athletes in the college football video games and the college basketball games. Funny part about it, again, was that apparently Electronic Arts and the CLC decided to settle out the lawsuit for $40 million, and it guaranteed about $4,000 for the 100,000 athletes that were in all the college football and basketball games. So that's a pretty sweet deal. But
so Ed O'Bannon got $4,000.
Basically, yeah, that's what he got from EA and the CLC. But he also sued the NCAA. So the NCAA, it was ruled back. I'm sorry, I'll go back to when this started. He filed it in 2009, and it didn't come out until 2014, of June of 2014. So in August, a judge ruled for the NCAA that they had to pay $5,000 into a trust for each athlete per year of eligibility. So, say, Dave, you were at Alabama from when were you at Alabama?
And
First
you were
time
out
or
there
second
twice.
time?
Yeah.
Second time. It'd be the second time, yeah.
Yeah, I was there for 07 to 08.
So 07 to 08, you would get paid $5,000. So it'd be roughly around $10,000. It's because you were eligible during that time. The NCAA, of course, they appealed, and they brought up the whole, there's a case, it was back in the early 80s, whereas the NCAA versus the Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma. And it basically was when the NCAA had the TV rights to everything, and they were sued by the Board of Regents in the University of Oklahoma saying, hey, you can't do that. So that lawsuit led to what we see now with, the SEC network, the Big Ten network, and NBC basically being bought by Notre Dame, or Notre Dame bought So they threw that and saying that to preserve the character and quality, to protect the athletes, they must not be paid. And like I said, it's kind of confusing, honestly, at that point. But I find that about a lot of lawsuits that come around. They're just confusing, really.
Yeah, I wish there was a way they could take that money and let it enhance their scholarships, so it's not so much a payment, but you're helping pay for their education. The video game is a way that the student athletes get better resources.
Yeah, I mean, that argument is also, they were already getting resources to begin with. I mean, back, Dave, when I went to Alabama, when you first went to Alabama, I mean, we had the Nike deal at Alabama. There was Nike thing everywhere. So all the athletes were getting Nike gear whenever they wanted it. They were also getting 3 meals a day. And of course, that illegal stuff that nobody likes to talk about. But I say that less for Alabama players as much as I say it for guys that are at other schools. Alabama's got it good, but Alabama's also the top of the pile. There are a ton of student athletes. I think you said there were 100,000 in the settlement. Not all of those guys had the same perks an Alabama football player has. It's true, and a lot of them are actually not students back during that time. see, Bill Russell was also a part of the lawsuit because who did Bill Russell play for in college?
Wasn't he UCLA too, Ben?
Yeah, I believe so, right?
Yeah,
But you have those you have those legacy teams that are on there.
the legacy teams. Yeah, Bill Russell was a part of it, and Oscar Robinson was part of this too. So it wasn't just previous athletes during that time. It was also some of the old timers that were trying to get in on this lawsuit.
It was something, from an Alabama perspective, I think you could go in there and play football with some of the Alabama championship teams. I don't think they I don't think they were all loaded in there. Like, you couldn't go back and get like a Wallace Wade team, but you could definitely go get the '92 team, because I'm sure Dave played like 1,000,000 games as Jay Barker. And
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And that's how you spent several years of your life, I'm sure. And then I think I'm trying to think. I think at least one Bryant team was in there. I think it was like what would have been the 79 team.
79.
Yeah.
79. I played 92 versus 79 multiple times.
I think there was actually some games that also had the one with Joe Namath, and I think the one with Ken Stabler, so that'd be 64 and 66.
Well, yeah, I also remember that they came out with the legacy teams, and they had all-time Alabama quarterbacks, and it had Joe Namath, Ken Stabler, and Jay Barker all on the same team. But they were quarterback 7, quarterback 12, quarterback 12, but it said the year they were there. I don't think that year they had the exact right hometown, but of course I knew, being the Alabama guy I am, I knew who they were and where they were.
They bared a stunning resemblance.
Yes, exactly.
Well, one thing you may forget about it too, Dave, is that I want to say probably in 2004, the iteration of NCAA football, you can actually download custom rosters. So there were these guys that as soon as the game released, or maybe even before the game released, they would go through the rosters and edit all the rosters for all 108 NCAA football teams to where it would match that, Jay Barker was number 7. If it was in 2018, Jalen would be number 2, Tua would be number 13, have all the stats. This is what they did. So I think that was really part of the reason for the lawsuit, is that, hey, you could like disguise it as saying that, well, this is just a number 22 running back on Alabama, but it looks just like Mark Ingram. Yeah. But with the rosters, you can, Ingram's name was on the back of his jersey, all his stats, and they would even like edit the rankings or the rankings. So like Mark Ingram would probably be like a 94 or 95 rating. So that's probably the other reason that, well, you say they're not there, but you let these people do these roster edits. So that's me on the screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, if the game somehow magically came back today, what kind of rating would Tua have?
Right now, you'd probably have a 99, which is the highest rating you can get. Yeah, his arm strength would probably be 100. His accuracy would definitely be off the charts. Yeah, I mean,
it would be cheat code, basically.
It would be cheat code, yeah. I was trying to think of some of the teams that were basically cheat teams. Like nowadays with Madden, you basically you try to play with Tom Brady because he's like the top-rated quarterback, or like an Aaron Rodgers. So Tua would probably be on the lines of like a Tom Brady rating, and then I know this is probably going to piss off some people, but Jalen would probably be close to like a 95. So you'd have a 99 quarterback and a 95 backup quarterback on Alabama, to where it's like, okay, pick your poison. Which one do you want? And we would probably get into fights playing this game, because I would be like, no, you got to put in Jalen. No, I don't want to put in Jalen. What are you talking about? I'm picking Tua.
I would put Jalen in, but I'd put Jalen at quarterback and line Tua up as a wide receiver, and always do a wide receiver pass screen like we tried to do in Arkansas this week.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Wildcat, Yeah, but honestly, you probably just run the triple option where you'd have Tua in the backfield and Jalen up front, or vice versa. Maybe stuff like that. Yeah.
I like that idea.
Well, triple option or the wishbone. You never know.
I think when I would play like Dynasty mode and that sort of thing, it was kind of my standard thing to go get one running quarterback and one great passing quarterback. And I would do something like that where each quarterback would have a half. And one would pass for a big score, in the first half and score as many points as possible, and then the other one I'd play in the second half and try to run out the clock and get the game over with as fast as I could because I'd already scored like 70 points. And that's exactly where we're at. We are watching a video game. And
and I think that's why Tua wants it back because number one, I mean, he's a kid. He wants, he's enjoying the ride. So he wants to basically have that feeling of a lot of college players before him had when the football games were out, the video games were out, to where they could basically, Tua and probably, is it Ruggs? No, Ruggs. Yeah, Ruggs can be on the other side. And Ruggs,
Judy,
Ruggs would probably put himself as quarterback and Tua would just look at him and be like, all right, man, here we go. Kind of that whole customizing thing,
Yeah.
It really did build like a camaraderie between teammates because just like the pro guys do now with Madden, the college guys would, as soon as they get that game, or they would look on the internet and see what rating they were at on that game. So regardless of like Ed O'Bannon and all the other people who did the lawsuit, I would say the majority of the college players during that time, they really got a kick out of it, seeing themselves on the screen as a digital character in a video game, and then looking at their stats and jawing people like like I was saying, some of the defensive guys in Alabama would probably be like, as they're working out with Scott Cochran, and be like, oh yeah, Mr. Rating 91, I'm a 94 on the game. So it had a lot of good fun to it.
Well, we're talking about what Tua would be in the game. But I just out of curiosity, I went on Twitter and I searched for cheat code just to see what would come up. And the most popular tweets about cheat codes are all sports related. I've got a video of Oklahoma scoring a touchdown, and it says Kyler Murray is an actual cheat code. I've got the NFL. I've got Hopkins for the Texans catching a pass and like weaving through like 30 different Dallas Cowboys. Adam's not on this interview, so we get to point this out while Adam's not listening. And so it says Hopkins is a cheat code. I've got some NBA action here. Steph Curry is shooting from half court and throwing like a behind the back shot and hitting it. So they're like, yeah, Steph Curry's a cheat code. I've got Oregon State baseball.
What?
It is an Oregon State highlight where they're playing. Who are they playing? I guess that's UNC. No, it's Oregon State versus Washington, and one of the Washington outfielders just can't get to the ball because the Oregon State guy's such a good hitter. So, You've got all kinds of stuff. I've got there's videos of Harden with the Houston Rockets.
He's a cheat code. Human cheat code.
Human cheat code. I got to see him. I don't think I mentioned this. I got to see him here in Birmingham the other day for an exhibition game. So
cool.
So you go through here. I've got soccer players with FC Barcelona that are referred to
Soccer's
as
not a
cheat
sport.
codes. So, but none of those are. They're not going to be in the NCAA game. So,
no.
No.
So Brian, let me ask you this: what would it take for EA to bring an NCAA game back? Is there a possibility, or is the EA Sports NCAA football game basically dead?
I don't think it's dead. I actually found a article, and I can't bring it up, but it was actually a company. It wasn't EA, but it was a company that wants to bring back the NCAA football game in, I think, 2020. And the way they're going to get away with it is, of course, they're not going to use, like Alabama Crimson Tide, Auburn University, because they would have to pay the universities for this. They will basically have a similar team. They may even put it in like a weird town in Alabama or somewhere, or Mississippi or whatever. So there's some people out there that want to bring it back. Right after the lawsuit, maybe like a year or something, one of the gaming websites, they actually interviewed somebody from EA. And they mentioned, from EA Sports, sorry, that's the division. They actually said, like, is it a possibility that a college football game would come back? And he actually said, there's always a possibility, which if you really look at, like, video game people, like the developers and the studios, they never say never. So I'm thinking that...
Nor should they. They stand to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's a lot of money, and I think now, since it was 2014 was or 2013 actually. It was the NCAA 14, so it would have been 2013. That was actually the last game that was out, and Denard Robinson was on the cover.
Yep.
So you have now, and it's 2018, so it's been about 5 years, and I think maybe it may be time for somebody to really look into it. Is it going to be EA? I'm not sure. It could be 2K, who makes NBA 2K 19 or 18. One of those developers could bring back college. I think the real hang up with them is that getting the NCAA on board with it. But really, they can go away from the NCAA and get all the universities on to it, because each university has their own copyright. Alabama has it, Mississippi State has their own copyright, so they can actually just get with the universities and be like, hey, we want to create this football game, would you guys let us use your the logos? And the colleges can say, yeah, go ahead and do that. So I think it's possible. I think definitely with what Tua put in Twitter, and everybody else is kind of mentioning too, that maybe sometime in 2020, other than that game that I just mentioned, maybe one of those developers would be like, hey, we're coming out with a college football game.
Oh,
I'd love to see it.
There's such a huge market for it. There's hardly anybody saying, no, don't do this. It's just people afraid of getting sued.
Yeah, and I think that, Madden is really starting even to get to where it's just the same game over and over and over again. I mean, if you play this year's Madden, it's all the same thing, all the same modes, but they've been adding like a story mode to it. And the old NCAA football games had kind of a story, but this is actually like it has like cutscenes, and you make your own character and the likeness of that character, and it's going through like cutscenes. So it would go through Dave, I know you would love it if you created your own character and you had Nick Saban walk into your living room and be like, yes, hey, we really want you at Alabama. Here's what we've been going to do. So it's stuff like that they could add to the game to where it makes it a story that would make it a whole lot better, other than just, picking this team, going through the dynasty mode. I mean, all that's fun, but if you add like a story element to like NCAA football, I know people will buy that thing day one. They'll be like trying to hack into EA servers, trying to pull that game out of there where they can play it early. All the the streamers on Twitch TV and Mixer.com. I mean, they would be like, hey, I don't need an early copy of the new NCAA football game, because it makes people a lot of money, and to bring it back now, I mean, it's really a no-brainer, but who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Bryan, we appreciate you coming on the show with us. Really quick, before we let you go, you're wearing your Cleveland Indians hat. I know you're from the city of Cleveland. Do you want to
What are you talking about?
Okay, the area of you live in the area of Cleveland.
Okay, yeah, I live in the area. Yeah,
you're from.
Yeah,
Dave usually knows the names of all the suburbs. I'm surprised he doesn't have that down pat.
I know, right? I mean, honestly, you make Adam sound like a homeless guy when you do that whole thing. Like it's like a game you guys play. All right, Adam, what neighborhood did you roll into this week?
Well, you've been calling in as the city of Cleveland. You want to take a couple of shots live on the show?
What are you talking about?
Okay.
That's my neighbor, dude. I thought I told you that. That's my neighbor. All right.
Do you want to take a shot at Ben?
A shot at Ben? I have no problem with Ben. He's a nice guy. I mean, I listen to the show, and I agree with some of the things that he says. Some of the things that he doesn't. That I don't agree with. But I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, I could try to wake up my neighbor, but he probably would get all cranky and then maybe make Ben cry. I don't want to do that to him because we just met. So
Well, Bryan, we appreciate you coming on. Tell the folks how they can get a hold of your podcast and on Twitters and all that fun stuff.
The Twitters, yeah. I have a Twitter, if I remember it correctly. Give me a second. It is at FOV Podcast, I believe. See, I haven't done this in a while, so I even mess up on when I'm recording. I have to re-record doing all this stuff. I'm a very amateur guy, but it's at FOV. It's at FOV Podcast, and usually I like some of the things that you guys put on your Twitter, so you can probably see me on there.
Awesome. Well, guys, Bryan, we appreciate you coming on, and I think we're going to let you record a sideline warning, because I think you said that you have a sideline warning ready to go. So
yeah,
we're going to quit this interview here, and we will be back in just a second. Welcome back into the show. We appreciate Bryan coming in, and we always appreciate when we have our fans and friends come on the show. And we also appreciate what Roo Sport is doing for us. You know, Roo Sport, they're over there at www.theroosport.com. They are the original magnetic bag that basically you get to run without the bulk of belts or the big heavy bag. Adam and I all use them. We used them when we ran our half marathon down there at Disney World in April, and I'm going to use it, and Adam's going to use it again in February. But Ben, it's a great product. In fact, you found some other uses of it for stuff that's not just running, right?
Look, it is made for runners, but just like a lot of things that are made for runners, that just means it's made with really high quality. And there are a ton of things that you need running that you also can use at other points. You could use it when you're shopping. They can use it when you're out and about. It's great if you're in a touristy area and you want to keep your valuables close to you. It's great if you do like I do. I love a music festival. And when you're at a music festival, you're up and down, you're sitting in the grass, you're all that. You're worried about stuff falling out of your pockets. A Roo Sport is perfect to keep everything close at hand and keep it where it doesn't fall out of your pockets. For me, a guy that's got, kind of long legs, when I wear my gym shorts, I wear those like pretty long gym shorts. They're not the longest. It's not like an NBA guy from a few years ago. But my gym shorts, when you have those long leg gym shorts, you've also got really long pockets. And you put your keys in there, you put your phone in there, and it starts banging on your legs because it's like it's swinging. And you want something that's going to stay tight on your hip, and that's exactly what the Roo Sport does. It keeps everything close at hand, and you don't have everything sloshing around, bouncing around in your pockets. The Roo Sport's the perfect thing for anybody that's active, anybody that's out and about and moving around. Dave, I know this is coming handy for you. What are some of the things you keep in your Roo Sport?
Oh, gosh. I keep gels when I go running. I keep my phone. I keep my keys. I keep my wallet. Now, let's be honest. I don't keep them all in there at the same time. But you can keep your phone in there. I've got the new iPhone X Max, and it fits in the Roo Sport. I've got the Pro, so I've got the bigger one. But I don't have to worry about it. It's even got one of those little pouches. If you've got a phone that has the headphones still in it, you can weave your headphones if you haven't gone wireless. So I keep a lot of stuff in that bag. It's easy. You can put some money in there. I mean, like you said, you don't want all that stuff in your pocket, right, Ben?
Well, yeah, when you're out and about, if you're exercising, you don't want to keep your wallet on you. But the Roo Sport's perfect. You can slip like a credit card in there or a debit card, something like that. Just so if you're out and about and you're in a bind and you need to get cash, you need to be able to make a purchase. Let's say you're running, you need to go buy a Gatorade at the gas station. You can do that because you got your credit card close at hand, and you don't have to carry your whole wallet on you.
Yeah, and
for me, no matter where I am, I have to have my phone with me because I'm a compulsive phone checker. And with my iPhone 6s Plus, it's huge. I joke that it comes with like a wall mount. And when I try to buy phone accessories, things don't work because the phone's too big. But that's not the case with the Roo Sport because the Roo Sport actually is the right size for a large phone like the 6S Plus. And guess what? Roo Sport keeps up with what's going on. They know about the iPhone X. They know about the Google Pixel 3 that's coming out, these big screen phones. They're making new Roo Sports every day to fit the large phones, to fit the latest model phones. And so that's all you want in a company that's going to take care of your stuff and be ready for the next big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And what they're doing is they're taking care of us and our fans because they've given us a discount code for people that if you want to go on their website, www.theroosport.com, use the checkout code Sideline30, all lowercase, spell out the word sideline and it's the number 30. You'll get 30% off your entire order. And they have more than just those pouches that we talked about last week, that Roo Sport Lounger or Roo Lounger that I've got. They've got the power banks. They've got these pouches. Go on there, give them a try. And I promise you'll love it just as much as Ben, Adam, and I do.
They're already unbelievably affordable, and then you throw in a big discount like that, 30% off, doesn't get much better than that.
It sure doesn't. So, guys, go check them out, and like I said, you will love them as much as we do. Something else that we all love, is the Atlanta Braves. And, Ben, it didn't end the way you and Adam thought it would, but it ended pretty much the way I thought it would.
Rub it in, Dave. Rub it in.
Yeah. I believe the phrase that you're thinking of is, Dave, you're right.
Was that what I was thinking of?
Yeah, yeah. Because we didn't get swept, but we did pretty much get beat pretty handily by the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Those two games in Los Angeles were ugly.
Atrocious is the word that comes to mind.
The game the Braves won, that was fantastic. And the game the Braves lost in Atlanta, which I was in attendance for better or for worse, was still an incredibly fun game, but it did not go the way we wanted it to.
No, it didn't. I think the Braves just have – it's the youth that got them. I mean, you saw it was Folty's first time to pitch in the playoffs. He was trying too hard, and he came out and said he was trying too hard. He was too nervous. You could see that Acuna was trying too hard in Los Angeles. Albies, I'll be honest with you. I think the worst thing that could have happened to Albies was his power spurt at the beginning of the season, because now he's not hitting like a second baseman. He's trying to go up there and hit like a power hitter and trying to hit the ball out, and it hurt him in that last half of the season. If he was a more veteran-type player, it would have just been normal. Markakis was a true failure in the playoffs. Camargo was nowhere to be seen. The Braves' power just went away in the postseason.
And to be fair, they ran into a buzzsaw. The Dodgers have a great pitching staff. That's why the Dodgers were in the World Series last year. That's why they've made playoff runs in the past several years. They've got some arms, and the Braves struggled against the Dodgers during the regular season. I think they were 2-7, and right. To go 1-3, that's kind of a similar result. So it's not too surprising, and the first two games were pretty crushing, pretty disappointing. But to have the Braves come back and play hard in Atlanta for the home crowd, I do kind of feel like this team finished on a positive note, even though they didn't. Only one team wins their last game in the playoffs.
Right. What I'm hanging my hat on here, and I know we're supposed to talk about the game, but I think we've talked the game to death. People who don't come to the show to hear us talk in depth about the game, they want to hear our takes on the team in general. I think what made me get over the loss easier was the fact that I heard Alex Rodriguez, of all people, on the post-game show after the game was over say, I think the season ended, the Braves' payroll was $139 million. Well, after the season, now the Braves' payroll has shrunk to all the Braves owe people is $59 million. So supposedly, if Lincoln Financial or Lincoln Mutual or whoever owns the Braves,
Liberty Media,
if they don't shrink the payroll like they have in the past, the Braves have some good money to go out and get a Manny Machado, a Bryce Harper, make a huge splash in free agency. Because I was looking, there's no pitchers coming out. I don't think anybody the Braves can get in free agency can make a splash. So I think the Braves need to go after a bat.
Yeah, I think the Braves are going to need to do that. And, as much as I've defended Nick Markakis on the show, I believe he's up for free agency.
He is.
It's hard.
He's 35.
34, right?
I have it up now. He's 35.
Well, it's hard to imagine Markakis being back. Markakis proves some value as a free agent. He'll go be valuable for another team somewhere else. But I think the Braves are going to go try to find a corner outfielder that can be really significant for them.
Yeah, and that corner outfielder, he's there. Do we go after Bryce?
Surely there's another corner outfielder available, right?
Nope. Here, I found a free agent tracker, and let me pull up corner outfielders. I'll just pull up all outfielders that are available.
Give me all outfielders.
Okay. Anybody? The only team that I think the only people the Braves need to go after and throw huge money, I would say 30 or below. Wouldn't you agree? If that even.
Probably.
So I will go by age. Come on. My computer's running slow right now. Adam's 1980s computer isn't here to make fun of.
Wow, Dave.
I know. I'm sorry. I
mean, people want to talk about these crazy trades where you go get Mike Trout or some and
No,
trade
not
for
possible.
him, and you give away 12 prospects to get Mike Trout. You can't do that.
No. So here we go. Bryce Harper is 26. His average market value, according to this site at sportstrack.com, could be $31 million a year.
That's absurd.
That's absurd.
That's pure madness.
Yeah. Then you got from San Diego. He is 29. Matt Zucur.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, he didn't do much of anything this year. 187 average, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 14 hits. So no.
Don't tell me about somebody with a batting average below 200.
Okay. Well, okay. Bryce Harper was okay. He was 249, but Lonnie Chisenhall is 39. I mean, or his 30. He had 1 home run, an average of 321, 27 hits. So he didn't play much.
If Lonnie Chisenhall is your best option outside of Bryce Harper, let's go ahead and re-sign Markakis.
Right. Marwin Gonzalez for Houston, decent, but I don't know if he's a splash hire. A.J. Pollock from Arizona. Do we dare get Pollock and Inciarte in the same outfield again?
Maybe.
He's 31. That's not splash. Andrew McCutchen is a free agent. He's 32.
Yeah, he'd be your 4th outfielder.
Right. Michael Brantley of Cleveland. He's 32. That's a decent one, but he's still old. See, after there, it just goes Michael Brantley, Cameron Maben, Colby Rasmus.
I'd rather
Austin
bring
Jackson.
Cameron Maben back.
Right. Austin Jackson. Here's one for you. Jordan Schaefer. Remember him? Adam Jones, Carlos Gonzalez, Carlos Gomez, Brandon Barnes, Matt Joyce, John Jay, Melky Cabrera, Shane Rodriguez, Eric Young. These are all 33 to 35-year-olds. So there's really not many people out there in the corner infield or in the outfield in general.
I think the Braves. I think the Braves have got to make a change. I mean, I guess you could sign Markakis for a year or two.
Will he take a hometown discount? Not being a hometown.
Well, Markakis is actually from Georgia originally. He still keeps his family in Baltimore, I think. But I think Markakis actually has ties to the state of Georgia, so it's not the worst idea ever. But coming off an All-Star year, he's going to be arguing that he should have a ton of money, and the Braves are going to say, well, your hitting tapered off at the end of the season. You were batting over 300 the whole season until the last 44 games, and then everything fades. How do you know that fade's not going to continue into the next season?
Right.
Misjudged a ball in a key playoff game, an elimination game.
Yeah.
That let a rally keep going for the Dodgers that resulted in the Braves being eliminated.
Yeah.
One play does not a contract make, but it sure didn't help matters when Markakis could be out the door.
Yeah. Here's one for you. Manny Machado. He's listed as a shortstop. Do we get Manny Machado and put Dansby at third base?
What? No.
Huh?
You do not. Swanson's not a third baseman.
We could put Freddie Freeman back at. Never mind.
Now we're just being silly.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
Your third baseman is either Johan Camargo or it's Austin Riley, and that's because Austin Riley looks insanely good
Right.
in spring training. And at that point, you trade Camargo and get you even more prospects for the system, or you trade Camargo for an existing outfielder that's already got a contract going.
Here's one. This would probably be a cheap trade. What if the Braves tried to go after Joey Gallo of the Texas Rangers? He's got pop in his bat. He could play the outfield or third base or first base. Let him be your everyday outfielder. And then if you need to put a fourth outfielder in and you need to give Camargo a day of rest, let Gallo play third.
That is not a great idea, but it's the best idea you've offered me today.
So what is the? I guess as Braves fans, can we start expecting not a 14-year run, but can we start expecting maybe a 4 to 5 year run where the Braves are expected to win or will win the East?
I think there's huge potential for that. I think there's a few key factors that are going to be there. One is the Mets and the Marlins seem like they're really far away from having a competitive team.
Right.
With the Marlins, it's obvious why they don't have any players. With the Mets, it's less obvious. The big issue there is they just can't keep anybody healthy.
Right. And they're all old too.
I think the two big factors are whether or not the Nationals decide to keep building with what they have, or whether they decide to tear down and rebuild. I think whether the Nationals want to keep Scherzer, if they want to re-sign Harper, I think those things matter. But if they start rebuilding, then the only competition is the Phillies. And the Phillies have got a lot of up-and-coming prospects, but they seem like they're at least 2 or 3 years from putting this together. So there's no reason why the Braves, that are already good, already winning the division, should not be able to get better this season and lock up the division for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing that stands in the way is the Phillies. And I think we're going to go back to the early 90s where it's the Braves and Phillies always battling for the division. And I'm ready for that. I really want to see a good NL East with the Braves and Phillies going after each other. And really, I would love to see the Nationals come up. But I think the real key is going to see, are the Nationals going to throw a good number at Bryce Harper? And if they do that, then they think they can still win with this team. But if they let Bryce Harper go to, say, Atlanta, say New York, say somewhere else, then you're going to see the Nationals do an all-fire sell, I think.
Yeah, they've got a ton of potential with Soto. He's the kind of guy you can build a team around. But you can't build a team around him right now.
Right. It'd be like the Braves trying to build around Ronald Acuna, and that's just not going to happen. And I think it'd be stupid if the Nationals did try to build around Soto. It's something that I could see their general manager trying to do, because it's kind of what they tried to do, building around Bryce Harper and what's that pitcher's name? Strasburg. They tried to build around Strasburg and Bryce Harper, and it didn't work for them until they brought in Scherzer, until they brought in Gio Gonzalez.
The reason you can build around somebody like Ronald Acuna is because you already have a Freddie Freeman there.
Right. But they didn't have
the best thing you've got for you there is Bryce Harper. So if you want to make Soto your guy of the future, you've got to keep Harper around. And Harper just looks too expensive.
And he also looks like he's not going to have that mentality that Freddie Freeman did. I think Freddie Freeman has that mentality of, I want to win here. This is my home. I want to see my home succeed. Bryce Harper looks like the type of guy that he's just going to go wherever the ball is, wherever the buck is.
Well, and you know, Freddie Freeman feels like, he owes a debt of gratitude to the Braves. Harper, I think he would love to be out west and closer to Las Vegas, where he's from.
I could see that.
What if you've got a franchise that really is interested in moving to Las Vegas?
I don't see that happening.
What if they want to sign Harper for a few years and use that to justify moving their team to Las Vegas?
Who would you recommend? Because I'd say the Marlins or the A's are your two biggest candidates to move.
Tampa, the Rays. The Marlins have got a new park. The Rays have got an old park. Tampa Bay and Oakland would probably be your two teams most likely to move.
Okay.
It's happened before where a team from Oakland moved to Las Vegas.
Yes, it did.
Hadn't happened in baseball yet.
That's a fair idea. But there you go. We've hit that nail on the head, I think, with baseball.
The thing I'm excited about is we are going to be talking baseball in December, because the winter meetings are going to be incredibly fun.
It's going to be right around the corner too.
Oh yeah.
I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. And your sarcasm can last a little bit longer into baseball season, a little longer for the off season for baseball. So there you go. You've heard our talk about football, our talk about video games, our talk about baseball. Now, Ben, bring us the picks.
All right, let's get to it. Let's go with the top 25 games. We've got now in the top 25 is South Florida. The number 23 ranked Bulls will be playing at Tulsa. Tulsa's 1-4. South Florida is in the rankings because they're undefeated. Are they going to stay undefeated with this road game?
They'll stay undefeated until they face either Cincinnati or Central Florida. So, yes.
They're going to stay undefeated until they face Central Florida. Cincinnati's not that good.
They're undefeated.
Cincinnati ain't played nobody.
Either South Florida or Central Florida.
Central Florida, though, we know has got something. They've proven themselves. They're the defending national champs. Minnesota on the road against number 3 Ohio State. Ohio State's still undefeated. Urban Meyer's got headaches. Is everything okay, Dave?
No, because I don't want to do it, but I got to pick the Ohio State Black Eyes.
Yeah, I think PJ Fleck has the potential to be a coach of the future, a really big name coach in the sport, but got to go with Ohio State this weekend. All right, Pitt is 3-3. They're taking on number 5 Notre Dame in South Bend. Who do you like here?
Notre Dame rolls big time.
If you'd asked me a few weeks ago when Notre Dame was struggling with the likes of Ball State, I would have told you Pitt was going to win this game because this is exactly the kind of game where Pitt plays terrible football all season and then shows up for one game and plays the best football of the year. I would say this should be that giant trap game for Notre Dame, but it's not. Notre Dame is going to be too much for Pittsburgh now that they've actually got their offense working. So I will take the Irish at home. Michigan State on the road at number 8, Penn State. Which state comes out on top, Dave?
Penn State's going to win this one. I like Penn State, and I really think that we're going to see that Penn State's a good team, and that Ohio State game wasn't a fluke. The reason they played with them.
Hey, Penn State's a great team. They're just not an elite team. That's what they say,
Nope.
right?
There's only one team in the Big Ten that's elite right now.
Penn State's going to be great against Michigan State, so I'll take the Nittany Lions. Hey, how about a ranked team versus ranked team matchup? Washington Huskies on the road at number 17, Oregon. Everybody's been saying Washington should be the class of the Pac-12, but Oregon's on the rise. Is Mario Cristobal going to take the mantle from Washington before they even get going?
I think this game is at Oregon in Alton Stadium.
Yep.
I'll go with the slight upset. I'll go with Oregon.
Going with Oregon. I got to say, I'm going to hang with you. I'm going to go with Oregon too. Quack, quack, quack. All right. Baylor Bears taking on number 9, Texas. This game is in Austin. What's going to happen with this game, Dave?
Texas is on a huge rise. I got Texas winning this one very big. Remember when Baylor was good?
Yeah, they also were scandal-free at one point. I'm going to take Texas at home. They've finally got things clicking. I'm actually going to be in Austin at the same time as this game, but I'm not going to the game.
Oh, man.
Number 10, UCF, taking on Memphis. The undefeated Knights, the reigning national champion, UCF Knights, are on the road. Are they going to remain undefeated against the Tigers?
Yes. I told you 2 weeks ago. I told you last week. I will pick UCF until they are no longer undefeated. I hope UCF makes it in the playoffs.
This is boring. We're in agreement on everything, but I am going to say UCF gets the job done here as well.
We need Adam.
We need Adam to shake things up. Number 16, Miami, taking on Virginia. They are playing at UVA. Does Miami keep the season going? They had a rough start, but now everything seems to be working. Do they keep moving?
We're probably going to be in agreement again. I pick Miami.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miami there as well. No reason to doubt them yet. West Virginia, number 6 in the land, is on the road at Iowa State. Iowa State's pretty atrocious.
They are very atrocious.
But West Virginia also had 4 fumbles against Kansas. Could Iowa State be more opportunistic than Kansas?
They can fumble the ball 12 times and still win this game. West Virginia.
Yeah, I'm going to take West Virginia here as well. Hey, how about a ranked versus ranked matchup, Dave? Would you like one of those?
Please.
All right, how about a top 15 matchup?
Ooh.
How is this possible? Big 10 teams in the top 15?
What?
Number 15, Wisconsin, is on the road at number 12, Michigan. Both teams have 1 loss. Both teams are in the top 15. Both teams are knocking on the door of the top 10? Dave, what's going to happen?
I hope, and I'm going to pick it, that Big Blue Nation wins this one, just because I hope to see that top 5 versus top 5 Ohio State versus Michigan game. So I got Big Blue Nation winning this.
I actually think Michigan has got the better athletes. I think they can outrun Wisconsin. They just need to avoid mistakes. I will take the Wolverines as well, just because I got to keep agreeing with you, Dave, so I can catch up to you in the picking standings. All right, a Pac-12 game, a little Pac-12 after dark. Number 19 Colorado takes on USC. Colorado's still undefeated, Dave. Will that be the case after this Trojan game?
It's at Colorado or at USC?
It is at USC.
It doesn't matter. USC's atrocious. I'm going to go Colorado.
Would you say USC is atrocious?
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
Is that how it would be? So you're taking Colorado?
I'm taking Colorado.
USC's got to have something to fight for. They need to get things turned around. And the Helton era has kind of been marked by not having things work and then suddenly at the end of the season kind of figuring stuff out. I'm going to say this is when USC gets things figured out. Colorado is not ready for it. USC at home, I'm taking the Trojans, upset special.
All right.
There we go. Finally, some separation from Dave.
There we go.
Hey, how about some SEC games? Would that be a little bit more palatable? How about
I think so.
How about starting off the day with number 14 Florida on the road at Vandy?
Florida did what I thought they would do, and they beat LSU. So I've got to take Florida they've only lost one game this year.
Only lost one game, so I think that's going to continue as well. So I will take the Gators on the road. Another morning game is Tennessee on the road at number 21 Auburn.
I'm going to pick a natural disaster.
Oh, Dave, don't pick that.
I don't want either of these teams to win. Auburn, even though it seems like there is some dissension in the ranks and Gus has lost his team, I think Auburn rebounds and beats Tennessee. But, I mean, who doesn't beat Tennessee these days?
Yeah, I think Auburn gets the win in this particular case. Auburn's going to have some challenges the next few weeks, though. But, hey, potential for a signature win for Jeremy Pruitt, though, if he can get his team to overachieve. But I'm going to pick Auburn at home. Number 22, Texas A&M, is at South Carolina. This is a 2:30 game.
So it's two Saban assistants going after each other. The 2003 defensive coordinator of LSU against the 2003 offensive coordinator of LSU. Texas A&M is a better team here. South Carolina they had to struggle to beat Missouri. I've got Texas A&M winning in a rout.
I think it is going to be very hard for South Carolina to defend Texas A&M. I'm going to take the Aggies on the road. Hey, how about another 2:30 game? Number 2, Georgia, on the road at number 13, LSU. This matchup looked a little bit better just a couple of weeks ago when both teams were undefeated. LSU now with one loss on the season, trying to get back into the top 10. Certainly they'd do that if they beat Georgia. That would be their third top 10 win of the season.
I think if any team other than Alabama can beat Georgia this year, it is a run down your throat type of offense and a tough as nails type of defense. 2:30, Baton Rouge, all those Cajuns going crazy. Georgia loses this weekend. I got LSU.
You're taking LSU.
I'm taking LSU.
Okay. I think LSU would love to rebound, but that's not going to be the case. LSU would have to be as opportunistic as Greedy Williams could ever possibly be, and even then it still might be enough. If LSU plays a perfect game and Georgia makes multiple errors and multiple turnovers, then Dave, you might be right. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Georgia is going to be able to control the game and do enough to set the pace of the game and dictate how it's run. And if that's the case, I think the Bulldogs come out on top, and they do so by 2 scores. So Georgia remaining undefeated. Here's a game nobody wants to watch. Ole Miss versus Arkansas.
Ole Miss wins because Arkansas is horrible.
They scored 31 on Alabama.
Right, but their defense can't do anything. They're a sieve.
Can Ole Miss run up the score on Arkansas?
Yes, Te'amu's a great quarterback. We saw that last week.
He's got his moments. You've persuaded me. I was gonna pick Arkansas to finally put it together, but you've persuaded me, Dave, to pick with you. I will take Ole Miss on the road. They'll actually be 5-2 if that's the case. All right, one game left to pick. It's Mizzou versus Alabama. It's homecoming for Alabama. What's going to happen, Dave?
This one will be over probably as early as the Arkansas game was. Mizzou is not a good team. They lost bad. They lost in horrible fashion to South Carolina, letting that game get away. I'm going to say somewhere in the ballpark of 58-24.
58-24. Okay.
58-24.
58-24. So Mizzou's going to get a few points. I think Alabama wants to have a good showing there for homecoming. I think fans are going to turn out. There is nothing that makes me think Mizzou can hang with Alabama for much more than a quarter. I think they are better than some of the SEC teams Alabama's played. Speaking of Ole Miss and Arkansas, but I don't think they're good enough to make this game that interesting. So I've got to pick Alabama. The key to this game, as it is for the rest of the season, is keep everybody healthy. That's what it all hinges on. So Alabama's got to stay healthy and not sacrifice any players to Mizzou. If that happens, Alabama is going to win this game 66-17. Low
66?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
65 was the second most in the SEC in years. So you say Alabama's going to go over that?
It's homecoming. You got to run the score up a little bit.
All right. Well, those are our picks. And now it is time for our sideline warning. We let our buddy Bryan Key record a sideline warning when we did the segment. We're going to play that for you right here. So, Bryan, take it away.
So, yeah, my sideline warning goes out to the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel, and the offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur. All right, look, I know you're new. I know you want to impress, but do you not realize who you have on the sidelines? You have Derrick Henry, probably going to be the heir to beast mode. I mean, have you seen his workout videos? The man is a beast. I was watching the last game with the Bills, and this is actually the first game that I've got to watch because I was off. And I'm sitting here watching against the Bills, and I don't understand it. Derrick Henry will come in for 2 plays, and then they bring in Dion Lewis. And I get it. Vrabel, you're a Patriot. You want to be like Bill Belichick. Dion Lewis played on the Patriots last year, but honestly, why would you not have Derrick Henry in the game for some of that stuff? I mean, okay, Dion Lewis did good. He's great. But Derrick Henry, have you not seen this man run? Did you not see what he did last year? He basically won the whole playoff game for the Titans. I don't get it. Matt LaFleur, do you not know how to use a running back? And okay, I get it. NFL is all about passing. It's about the quarterback. And I can go into another sideline warning about Mariota and his very wimpy throws that he's doing, whatever. But you've got Derrick Henry. Use him or trade him off. Send him somewhere who would take him. I know there's probably 31 other NFL teams that would love to have an athlete like Derrick Henry in their backfield. Okay, so he can't catch. So what? Just give him the rock. All right, he's going to run downfield. He's going to get you 3 or 4 yards. He's going to get you that first down. So, seriously, coaches of the Titans, figure out what to do with Derrick Henry. Use him or let him on because you're basically hampering his career. Get with the program. Derrick Henry, roll tide.
BK, as a Titans fan, level with me here. We are not trading Derrick.
I mean, I'm sorry. I want the guy to succeed. I love him. He was great. I mean, he won the Heisman for us. He's our second Heisman winner in Alabama. I want to see him succeed. I don't want to see him turn into A.J. McCarron, where 1 minute he's on the Bills, next minute he's on the Raiders. I don't want to see that for Derrick Henry. I want to see him succeed. I know he can do it.
Okay, but we're not trading him. Never.
Yeah. I don't know.
DH Double Deuce stays on the Titans.
Right.
All right, Brian. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, like you heard on that recording, I don't want the Titans to trade Derrick Henry. No, can't. Please don't. As a Titans fan, that would be the worst thing ever. But, Ben, hit him with your sideline warning.
Well, I can't let the baseball season get away from us without me working in a little bit more baseball commentary. And quite simply, I owe a couple of gentlemen an apology.
It's okay, Ben. You don't have to apologize.
No, I wasn't talking to you, Dave.
Okay.
The two gentlemen who I owe an apology to are Sean Newcomb and Julio Teheran. At different times on this show, I questioned whether or not either of them, and in certain circumstances at least one of them, should make the Braves playoff roster. And as this series against the Dodgers proved, some of the best pitching performances were turned in by Newcomb, who pitched in 2 games, and Teheran, who was one of the last couple of pitchers in the Braves' final game. Both guys pitched great. Newcomb is now looking like some sort of like Dodger killer, I guess, because he's pitched great against them during the season and in the playoffs. Both of his appearances were great. It's a shame that base running and all and that sort of thing dictated Newcomb didn't get a couple more innings against the Dodgers. But truly impressive jobs from both of those guys. Hopefully that means a little rest is worked well for these guys and will spell good things to come in the coming season. So to both of those guys, I'm apologizing. I'm very sorry. And I want to thank them both for their contributions for the season and to the playoffs. So thank you, Sean Newcomb. Thank you, Julio Teheran. Hope to see you guys pitching well in the future.
There you go. Very well said. My sideline warning is going to actually be to the Heisman voters. So guys, and gals, I assume the gals vote for the Heisman as well. You understand that, and you've seen that Tua Tagovailoa hasn't had to play a meaningful snap in the second half. I get that, but do not let the stats blind you. Do not let that stat blind you. Let's take a look at his stats this year. Passer efficiency rating, the highest in the FBS ever last year. Baker Mayfield, 198.9. Ever in the NCAA, Mike Sampson, 1994, it was 225 at Eureka College, Division III school. Tua Tagovailoa right now is sitting at 258.4. Highest completion percentage in a season. The NCAA record is Troy Weatherhead at 76.9%. That was in 2010 at Hillsdale College. Bowl FBS, Colt McCoy, 76.7% in 2008. Tua Tagovailoa, 75.2%. Yards per attempt in the season. FBS record is Ty Detmer from 1989, 11.1 yards. Tua is at 14.8 yards. Yards per completion. The FBS record is from 1977. Grambling, 18.2 yards. Tua is at 19.7 yards. Highest percentage of passes for touchdowns. The FBS record is 11.6%. The record was set in 1969. Tua this year is at 17.8%. Heisman voters, even though Tua hasn't played a meaningful snap in the second half, and he probably won't have to in the second half of this year, don't let that cloud your judgment, because Tua is having a video game type number season. Tua deserves your vote. 6 games in already. And that's it. That's my sideline warning to the Heisman voters. You have been warned. Make sure you look at your stats and not just what you see on the field right now, because you won't see Tua playing meaningful snaps in the second half. Guys, that's it. That's the rest of our show. If they want to call the show, our Blitz line is always open, and that is 931-44-BLITZ. 931-44-BLITZ. If you want to call in like the city of Cleveland, which we heard is Brian's neighbor, call into the show. We will play it on there. It's a Google Voice line. We will play it. Give us your takes. Tell us how wrong Ben normally is. Tell us how right me and Adam normally are. But we will play it on air as long as it is family friendly. We don't want to have any curse words on the show. Also, follow the show on Twitter at SW The Show, Sideline Warning Twitter, at SW The Show. We're also on Instagram, that same handle. Follow myself is at DAdams419. Ben is at TheBenFoster. Adam is at RunTideRun. Find the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Sideline Warning. Find the fan group, Sideline Warning fan group. Guys, as always, we love you. We'll see you guys next week. And roll Tide. I guess we're not going to have outtakes this week.
Hey, just because it's two of us doesn't mean we can't have outtakes.
No, we're perfect. It worked out well.
Except for both of us having like coughing fits. Oh my gosh.
I know. What was going on with that?
I don't know. It must. I don't know. Is there pepper? I don't know. It's fine. We can do it.
It's fine. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. 1 second, I want to just make sure I've got you coming through. Brian, if you'll just go ahead and talk for me.
All right, this is me talking about how dumb Dave is, and he doesn't know anything about the defense in Alabama's current 2018 team. How's that?
That's good. That's great, actually. That's the best. That's the best analysis we've had all year, Dave.
I'm not sure how that works.
Pretty good show.
Yeah, I don't think there's many outtakes though.
No, that's okay. I can make it work. I got a couple things.